Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to have you here. We are excited today to hear from a dear friend of mine, Shreyas Ramesh, who is with Accenture. And he's a managing director at Accenture, working on innovations across quantum technologies, digital technologies, robotics, and IoT. He is also working with the World Economic Forum on their Quantum Application Hub. And so we're excited to hear about the important work there. As always, we will try and do a Q&A at the bottom of the talk. So please put your questions in the Q&A button and we'll try and get to them. And with that, Shreyas, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Allison, my dear friend, thank you so much for the invitation here, and thank you so much for ATARC and all the rest of you for showing up and listening to me. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity. But I want to begin with something that is deeply personal, and yet it's very universally relatable to all of you, right? Or it could be. I was taught what's right from what's wrong, what's ordinary to what's great, not through textbooks or lectures, but through stories. Stories from my childhood, stories from my culture, stories that carried value, decisions, and consequences. They shaped how I think, how I lead, and how I choose anything and everything that happens to me. Today, I find myself doing the same thing, but with a small twist. I narrate value. It's a storytelling with value through examples. Not the same examples as the Vedas or the Puranas, but through which are scriptures for us, by the way, but through how industries operate, how governments make decisions, and how technology, especially why you're here, quantum technology, is transforming our world. These modern stories are grounded, what I'm about to kind of walk through, are grounded in real world examples, and they carry lessons just as powerful. And yes, many of these stories today are now told in platforms like ChatGPT, and you can use it however which way we want to. What makes these stories truly impactful is their visual and experiential nature. Now, we learn better when we see, interact, adapt. That's why storytelling in business and policy isn't just a communication tool, it is an absolute strategic imperative. Now, from here onwards, what you're going to see is how this initiative, the Quantum Application Hub initiative, launched by the World Economic Forum's Quantum Economy Network in collaboration with Accenture, is not just about technology. It's about simplifying the complex, driving adoption, and bridging the gap between theoretical quantum possibilities and practical solutions. This hub, what I'm about to show you over here, is designed for industry leaders and policymakers, offering this multimodal form of experiential applications that try to solve real businesses and societal problems. These apps that you're going to see in this are categorized into industry use cases and societal impacts, especially as they're also aligned to sustainable development goals. You'll see a handful of things. You'll see showcases of flagship applications, use cases, stories across sectors like healthcare, energy, finance, and manufacturing. Host open innovation challenges that sparks entrepreneurial movement to this initiative, offering strategic white papers, a guide to national programs, if I may, and corporate strategies. And most importantly, it acts as a catalyst for the next round of innovation where industry activity today accelerates societal objectives for tomorrow. This is storytelling at scale. It's not just about quantum, it's about quantum for good. So as we walk through these slides and I actually show you the platform afterwards, I'm inviting you to think about technology, but not just about technology, but about the narratives that we're building, narratives that teach, inspire, and guide us towards better decisions for businesses, for governments, and for society. So keep that in mind as we talk through this quantum application hub. these applications or apps by definition, right? They are practical use cases that try to solve business or societal problems, right? And where we try to solve these things, we try to showcase them through video explanation or clickable perspectives of such videos, an actual application through typical web-based application. Um, and some of these web-based applications, these experiential applications, are narrating these stories of how they ran the problem, the solution from soup to nuts, and showcasing that in some way, shape, or form. They do this by pulling previously executed data through, in the case of quantum computing, the data that comes out of it, or in the case of quantum sensing application, that the data that comes out of it to help narrate the story, or through a live device behind the scenes just to showcase very briefly what it can do. Now, each one of these things, as I said, right? So they are these use cases, these stories are impacting both the industry side of the business and the societal side. On the industry side, what we're going to talk about over here is we're going to talk about real world use cases of quantum technology, bringing these real industry use cases, what the World Economic Forum categorizes as flagship applications, enabling access to each of these industries or technology companies' success stories, the research that they put into it, the toolkits that they've applied to visualize what the rest of the world thinks is still hypothetical, theoretical. These societal applications, now we're trying our level best, right? So we want these applications of quantum technologies for SDGs by launching this Open Innovation Challenge for starters. And you'll, towards the end of this the presentation, I'll just quickly show you what that looked like. But it is helping the the SDG aspects of what nations are trying to do and how these use cases are going to benefit each and every single one of them. Now, what I'm really truly wishing that this is going to happen is, right, so this hub that we built here today, that is combining this industry level, business level goals, the societal goals, and we're trying to bring the best of the both to accelerate how quantum technologies can be adopted for the future or can be adopted today. The Quantum Application Hub is like I said, it's just the catalyst that we are trying to bring forward. Now, it's important as we bring this thing forward. There's no way to do this just by a single person, right? A single entity, whether it's just Accenture or otherwise. This, you will see, is an effort from the entire ecosystem where everybody is participating to showcase their thought leadership and their capabilities. And this is done through multiple different ways. The forum brings people together where they share their experiences, and beyond sharing the experiences, they're helping to collaborate these quantum apps that I'm about to showcase in a moment. And when this is being pulled in together, and as we are co-designing what these apps could look like, or what these deep dives could look like, or what these senior leaders or CXO leaders should take back in these papers, you're creating this necessary ecosystem to help create this new market that we're trying to get into for this tech. So, with that, what I will quickly talk to you about is, just briefly from a historic standpoint, we launched the beta application a year and a half ago, I would say, on the 28th of May at an event known as Global Technology Retreat. And at that point in time, we launched it with 3 applications in front of 52 different participants, and it was very well received. with a lot of these CXOs who asked questions like, my goodness, I can't believe you built this application. I can't believe you had a story to narrate on how quantum tech is being used. How did this happen? How did that happen? Very, very informative. Following that, towards the end of the year, in September, during uh, Quantum for Good Frontier Technologies for the SDGs event that the UNICC hosted over here, along with ITU, Republic of Namibia, the Kingdom of Netherlands, and Quantum Delta at the Accenture office, we hosted a whole lot of other applications along with this one. And ever since then, as these applications are being brought in, we're getting more and more people looking to build this. We took this thing again just this earlier in January 2025 during Davos. This is in front of a whole slew of different C-suite people looking at all these various different ways in which quantum tech can be used across these various different industries as well. And at that point in time, it was 12 different applications from 9 different organizations. And it started to see a little bit more that are coming in, right? A few more applications came in after that. Then following that moment, we did just as earlier, a couple of months ago, a few months ago, on April 14th, we started announcing, or through Uplink, the Forum's Quantum Economy Network and C4IR in Saudi Arabia announced 10 winners for the challenge that people across the world applied, startup companies across the world applied. And you can see who these names are, who were some of those winners. And it was very exciting because now they are building their applications to help showcase what quantum tech can do for industries using this technology. Now, I'm going to quickly pause over here for just a wee bit, and then I'm going to pull up the actual Quantum Application Hub page itself. For many of you who have not been here before, the website is up here. It's initiatives.weforum.org/quantum/application-hub. You can peruse through the rest of this website over here as you wish, and hopefully you'll see many more ways in which the quantum economy is described again through stories, right? As I said, this is a one-of-a-kind experiential platform where we're trying to shape what state-of-the-art commercial quantum technologies can provide to the globe. And so there are about 15 applications since then, since that April that I was telling you about just before. And you have some of the winners over here, like Algorithmic, talking about quantum computing for discovery of light-activated cancer drugs, or Moderna with IBM talking about the quantum mRNA optimization, or Yappy Creddy and Ford Otosan using D-Wave hybrid to solve a business problem for finance and one for manufacturing. QLM Tech using quantum sensing to find out where certain leaks in a very large site using photon-based detectors could be used. And a Q-Secure from a crypto agility and a PQC standpoint, Sandbox AQ from a magnetocardiogram that basically detects how your heart's functioning, which is super interesting. And I'll click on some of these examples, or using NV diamond vacancies to using that to detect faults in manufacturing of chips, 3D of 3D semiconductors and chips associated to them. So super, super cool stuff, right? When you take a look at the industry implications over here. Now, I don't know which ones you'd like me to click on first. So if with lack of no opinions, I'm just going to click on reinsurance contracts, right? So this was built by AXA. It's one of the largest reinsurance companies in the world, based in France. at least this one, the group over here was based in France. And they built this demo to find out what is the most optimal assignment or decisions of specific reinsurance contract for all the variances that the individual contract has and the complexities that they have to be reinsured. And that is a very complex problem to do. It's an NP hard problem to solve for. And so they picked this problem because of its uniqueness and its ability to, and its simple non-viability to solve these things, even using a HPC instance, the way in which this MIP was initially formulated. So they use this solution. So you find in this website a brief 15 seconds or 30-second read, depending on how quickly you can read this, what technologies do they use, which organizations use. And by the way, just because I have signed in as a member over here, I get to see and get to message these people to inquire about this. So that is one of the valuable points of having your application in here. So people could also potentially contact you and ask questions more about how the problem was solved or where it's solved, or potentially even how could I use you to help solve some of my own problems. So I will launch this demo very quickly so I can showcase what that looks like. And as you can see, they have a password protection over here, and it's pasted on the main page. So I'm just copy pasting that for our benefit. As I said, this is about stories and storytelling. Storytelling through pictures, clickable, so you can understand truly the complexity and sheer size of the problem that they're trying to work off of. I will go slowly so you guys get an idea what it looks like on, how typically people have tried to use this thing without any reinsurance, but through reinsurance, solving this reduces the potential loss in the billions based off of running it with a very good indication of the size of what the TVAR looks like. And stories on exactly on how and where some of these problems resides. You kind of click on it and you can see truly where the size of the problems are and get an understand of simply the size of what these portfolios are trying to be optimized for, and articulating that, look, the problem sizes are huge, right? And as you can see, these combinatorial problems are, you can say n+1, n+5, and it keeps increasing it. And you can see a quasi, exponential kind of a curve associated to the size of these problems. The reality is not that, right? The reality is you're starting with the Moai statue size, for example. But the true size of it is actually 200 to the nth, right? So that's how this problem actually winds up scaling because of the sheer complexities that goes behind solving such a combinatorial problem. So what they have done is they said, okay, look, you've truly, what we are trying to solve for over here in that logarithmic scale is literally this much within the hour, but truly to solve it, when you do this within HPC, it's the magnitudes, the size is just way too big. The search space is way too big. And so you do need a new type of way to computationally solve for this. So let's find out, what does this truly mean? Again, let's understand the narrative and try to solve this problem. And so a demonstration has been built over here so you can try and solve this problem the way you want this problem to be solved. Now, to be honest, I knew the answer. So I was just moving stuff around and I can kind of figure out, okay, what's the most optimal path? And you can solve this, right? You could have, you could have easily done it one by one and you could have solved this on a piece of paper. This is not a real size of the problem. And neither is this, but even solving it for these 11 different, options to get the absolute optimality without without violating any constraints, that's a really hard problem. I'm still not able to do it. Now I don't violate any constraints, but geez, it's still too far away. The risk is too high. It's not really up. So anyway, you go back and forth, you're trying to solve this, and you're trying to prove to the executives that this can't truly be solved, right? So this was how I tried to solve it, which is still suboptimal. But if we were to truly run it on one of those hybrid systems, you can try to solve it. And what would have taken like an hour to do this thing in a brute force manner, some of these quantum solutions take a second or maybe a minute, less than that. And it gives you what the potential answers as well. So that's the intent behind a lot of these demos. It narrates the story in its own way. Some of the other demonstrations that are out here, if I were to pick on, CardioAQ solution, again, this is a quantum sensing application by Sandbox, solving for how to detect cardiovascular issues and so on, right? So they started this thing and they're demonstrating, through, again, the narrative of this is a real serious issue. It is a big issue for businesses. And from an experience standpoint, it is not that simple to solve. And it is a real problem today. There are people working on it today, like Mount Sinai, that's right down the street from me over here, or Cleveland Clinic, where these are some real issues that they're trying to solve for. And how they're using magnetocardiography to figure this out, but you eventually need to have the quantum sensor to it, and find a better way to solve such a problem. And so that's what some of these demonstrations over here are doing. Let's see how it's used. So obviously you remove all the stuff or anything that's bad and metallic, you position this device, and that's the device, and that's where the quantum sensor is residing. It runs the scan. It takes about 5 minutes within this MCG, which is not too bad. And as soon as it's done, you go through the physician. It leaves the physician with a report within minutes because it's powered through AI behind the scenes to pull all the relevant information for them. And it gives the perspective of, okay, where am I really going bad? What do I need to focus in on in this particular instance? And you can see where, how the blood flows and where the issues may reside, right? So again, an experiential portion of how such a sensor is used and where it's being used. Now, I'll go back, and I think I have been given this warning that within 8 minutes, we need to get some questions. So like this, there are other applications, different perspectives, different ways with which these applications work to provide this narrative of how quantum technologies are used today to solve this really, really hard problem. Things like PFAS, that's used to be, or depends on which popcorn bag you buy, still exists.
Thanks, Shreyas. This is extremely helpful. I really do appreciate you walking us through the World Economic Forum's hub. For those of you who are attending in the chat, the ATARC folks did provide a link to it, so you can go and check out these demos. Um, and for those who want to, please put questions into the Q&A, and I'm going to get started. So I noticed that you talked about quantum sensing, you talked about compute. We actually have a question here from Krishna that asks about how are you seeing annealing-based versus gate-based computing usage for real world, and how did you guys from the World Economic Forum kind of look at what types of quantum technologies to put into your application hub?
Absolutely. So I will answer that in two pieces. The first one, right? They are both different ways to solve very highly complex problems. There are some problems that are suited that could run on an annealer today that cannot be run on a gate-based device, versus some that can be run on a gate-based device that are truly complex, like molecular simulations that truly taps into these powers, which I haven't seen as much from an annealing standpoint. It doesn't mean that they don't run it. So off of the list of all the different applications, 15 different applications over there, you would see that there's an even spread. I want to say even. There's a decent spread of different computes being used. The demonstrations that I showed with AXA, that was done using a hybrid annealing solver. I know of only one person is on the call over here. That's that technology was used. D-Wave hybrid was used in that scenario. In the case of Moderna's mRNA, the IBM quantum systems were used in some of the PFAS solutions, both IonQ at Rigetti at the point, or IBM, and reformulated to achieve kind of near SCI on PFAS for 2.5 million cores of
Wow.
AWS CPUs were used. Very expensive, and still didn't quite solve the complete FCI for PFAS. But those are the different ones that are out there. So those are different ways in which you'll solve the problem. Now, specifically, like I said, anybody can submit towards this to the application hub. And what I'm going to show you here
Oh,
on
good. You're getting to the next question, which was how does somebody submit an application for the demonstration and how does somebody become a member?
Superb. Well, being a digital member is easy. I'm not going to log off because I have way too many things going on. But anybody can sign in to become a digital member. There's no limitations on it. Use your Gmail, sign in, and you should be able to get it. How do I submit? Well, submitting it is easy. Here you go. There's a contribution guide that's sitting down over here. You can click on this one. It takes you to a mailbox. I get this mailbox. Just submit your application idea. Once the application idea comes through, it runs through some of the Accenture team members as well as the World Economic Forum members who review such an application to see its applicability. We work with you to understand it better. And when it actually sees a potential, a really strong potential, we bring it in front of our panel of experts. These panels, you can see who they are over here. There's nothing to hide. And they will hear you out in a presentation that you provide to them on these topics. So here, share the interest. We'll collaborate. We'll share the interest, submit the information. We'll collaborate. You will hear me speak to you if possible. They'll evaluate it with this group, then it goes live. Now, the criteria is simple. It's about storytelling. It's about how you narrate the value proposition that the industry leaders, as well as policymakers, governments, and the SDG goals that you're trying to achieve, the societal impact that you're trying to make out of here can truly benefit this ecosystem, the quantum economy network, as a consequence. So this is
So for those attending who might not know the SDGs as well as you and I do, would you be willing to, or is part of the process kind of helping folks tell that story of which SDG it would actually ladder to?
100%.
Great.
100%, right? And to my recollection, there are 17 SDG goals. Everything from no poverty, zero hunger, good health. I'm going to try to see it. Good health, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequality, responsible consumption and production, sustainable cities, climate
Nice.
action, life below water, lifeline, peace, justice, strong institutions, and partnerships for the goals.
You get a gold star for having that memorized. That's awesome. But for everybody who's listening in, basically anything you're trying to solve with your technology will ladder to one of these. But if you're not sure, Shreyas and the team at the World Economic Forum, through that evaluation process and through that work, will help you identify.
100%.
There is a question here, and I think this will be the last one because we're getting close to time. Is there a geography issue with submitting in? Are there any focus, let's say, in Africa?
It's a definitely an area that we are working towards getting applications from. As you saw in the in the SDG event, right, that we launched over here with the UNICC, the Republic of Namibia was definitely a key player, and we had incredible speakers from Africa articulating the importance of working on this technology. So if you do and are from there and need guidance on whom to speak to get these things submitted, we're happy to help make the connections.
Thank you so much, Shreyas. We're at time. I want to thank everybody for attending today. Appreciate you walking through this, and we hope to see everybody at the next Quantum Speaker Series. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.